Hello, one and all, and welcome back, yes, back to the Great Unknown audio show with me, your illustrious host and most appropriate face for radio, Maxim Jennings. And by the background noise, you can tell that I'm on the move again. I'm currently on the ferry crossing to Bruny Island for my penultimate overnight stay in Tasmania. We start this episode just reviewing last night. By far my favourite accommodation I think that I've actually stayed on over the course of this 7 months of travel. I had a fantastic evening at Base Camp Tasmania. Amazing facilities for something which is so isolated, and they had just every single amenity that I needed, especially for this upcoming trip, considering they had a plastic knife and fork that I could take with me, a number of different spices that I could use at my own will, and then I was also able to plan my trip with some excellent Wi-Fi as we set to disembark this ferry onto greater pastures, or greener pastures, I should say. Oh, that's a bloody annoying noise, isn't it? Turn that off. And Base Camp Tasmania, what a place. It was just absolutely fantastic, and I think what really made it for me was the host. They weren't there on the night when I arrived, but in the morning they were there. They didn't mind that I had overstayed my welcome. I was there till about 11:30. I had a great chat with the owners, a quite youthful husband and wife, who were kind of using the place as a secondary base of income, as the male was doing 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off oil rig work, which is also known as FIFO in Australia, which pays very handsomely but is very difficult and lonely work. So I raised my hand to him. It's not something I could do. Working on the oil rigs is also incredibly dangerous, but he was a really nice chap. He gave me some great recommendations for when I embark on Southeast Asia for various mountaineering opportunities and scuba diving stuff. So that was amazing. Just a bit more on the amenities and stuff. The showers were fantastic, great hot water. I was the only one staying in my cabin. The bed was really comfortable, and it just had everything for the same price that I'd be paying for a pretty whack hostel in a city. I was paying for, with a beautiful view in the morning of the sun through the forests with unlimited wildlife. I mean, I couldn't rate it any higher if I tried to, and I just had an amazing time. I met some lovely guests who were there as well, who I spoke to in the morning as well. They gave me some great recommendations for Bruny Island, and I just had a really good time. So we're just about to disembark this ferry, which I'd probably say is the most overpriced thing in Tasmania, costing me $50 for a return, but I can use that whenever I want, and it's a 20-minute ferry journey. So I've got a variety of things that I want to try and do whilst I'm here. I've left it a bit late, 2:30, so I've got to get to a camp spot where I can pitch my tent as I turn the car on. And slowly manoeuvre myself out of quite a shifty little parking spot as I go onto the bridge. This is a real top quality driving here from myself. They put me under a piece of scaffolding, which is very kind of them, considering every car before me had gone into a lane which was allotted for them. And now we are on Bruny Island. We say goodbye to this overpriced ferry and hello to Bruny Island. I've heard some good things from, in particular, the beaches and various, as I'm going to pull in just so I can re-navigate for the moment, as I haven't done that yet and prioritise telling you about my day. But yeah, I've heard good things. There is a place which is technically just 2 fridges, and It's first come, first served, and it's what do they call it? A place where you put cash in based on the amount, an honesty box, that's it. And you can pick up a loaf of bread, or I think they were calling it Anzac cakes, which is a type of fruit bread. So I'm going to go there first, and there's also a cheese factory here. I don't know if I've got enough time to do both, but hopefully I will before going to where I'm hoping to stay, which is Jetty Lighthouse camping facility. I picked up a tent from Kmart, which is, I think, is the Australian equivalent of Primark, and also a combination of that with the American Walmart for their outdoor stuff. So I picked up a tent, and I've never actually pitched up a tent by myself. So as easy as that sounds to most people, I have to just once again inform you that I am a self-diagnosed dyspraxic, and I am incredibly incapable of some of the most simple tasks. So we'll see how I get on with that. I may have to ask for help. I don't have a mallet, but it's not meant to be too windy, so hopefully it just all goes incredibly smoothly and I don't make a fool of myself. But for now, we'll see how this day goes, and inform you about what I've been getting up to a bit later on. Right, a lot has happened since I spoke to you last, in true Maxim Jennings fashion. Not everything went exactly to plan. I found myself with quite a journey still to my campsite of choice, and before that I made a quick pit stop to the bread fridge, and then we arrived at Jetty Bay Lighthouse campsite. Well, I managed to do it after after a bit of a tussle with the tent, which was a two-man, filled with enough space for sure, but getting those poles into, because they weren't necessarily little keys that you stick into the poles, it was like a little pouch that each corner went into. That took me a good 20 minutes of trying to make sure no one was seeing me getting bloody pissed off, because I couldn't do it for a long period of time. But the one thing I didn't want to do is overstretch the poles and snap them and have nowhere to stay by my car for the night. But we overcame that hurdle in record time for a Maxim Jennings task that takes some form of hands-on capabilities. But I have to say, as soon as I put the tent up, I was, due to my delay, a bit strapped for time, so I had to quickly make my way onto the peninsula walk to see the sunset. The walk itself was, I wouldn't say it was nothing too special. It was a bit covered up by some overgrowing shrubbery, but I got some lovely spectacles of the bay that I was next to, Jetty Bay. And then when the sun started to set, I made it just about in time. There was no particular lookout point, so you just kind of had to wait for undulation in the path to see over the cliff. It was a fantastic sunset, mesmerising, not great for photo-wise, but the sky itself was gorgeous. Obviously when dusk hit, it was my pursuit against the dark and the race against time to get back before being in absolute pitch darkness, but thankfully the moon was on my side and really glowing amongst the starlight and making my path back to the campsite pretty easy, which was nice. And in doing so, I didn't really have to wear my head torch, and so I could walk amongst wildlife and not disturb them at all, which was great. I went face to face with a kangaroo, not a fully grown one, but it was just absolutely magnificent as it slowly hops step to step in front of me without being at all worried about any of my actions, and it was just so nice. And then it came to my sleep. Well, I have to say, folks, that was one of the worst night sleeps I've ever had. I got about 3 hours in the end, and it's all my own doing, because I knew that this day might come where I had to stay at a campsite, and I was not fully prepared. I'd been to Kmart, got myself the tent and a liner for the sleeping bag without getting a sleeping bag itself, and I worked that liner hard, but boy oh boy could I have done with a sleeping bag. or a roll mat, because I got all of my clean clothes out and formed a bed of sorts to sleep on, and it did very little to help me on the rock hard ground. And it took me from 8:30 to when I started watching my first film, Lost in Translation, an absolute brilliant film, I must say, by Sofia Coppola, daughter to Francis Ford Coppola, who obviously notoriously directed the Godfather trilogy, the second best trilogy of all time, or maybe third, behind The Lord of the Rings, of course, and maybe the Dark Knight series. But I digress. What a film, I just had to say that. A rom-com I've never watched before, but it just hit the spot. And I thought, okay, this is going to be nice. I'm going to get to sleep after watching this. It's a very easy watch, but no, I could not get comfortable. My homemade bed was doing nothing, and although I had a lovely background noise of the waves crashing against the rocks on Jetty Bay, there was no chance, at least for the foreseeable, that I was going to get to bed. So I put on my second film, Full Metal Jacket by Stanley Kubrick. I believe premiered in 1983. Another amazing film, a great war film. And this took me up to about 1:45 to midnight, and I was like, right, now surely my eyes are going to start getting tired. But no, it turned out I needed a toilet, so I made my pursuit outside, accompanied by a number of different wildlife, and mainly possum, who I always thought was a bit of a strange rodent, but they were nice and friendly. And so I went to the toilet, emptied the tank, got ready to settle down again. But no, it wasn't going to happen. So 3 hours later, after listening to my various catalogue of ambient music, at 3:30, we managed to get about an hour and a half of good kip. And then I woke up. Do I, don't I, get ready for the sunrise? I thought against it. I thought, you're going to hate yourself in the morning because you haven't had enough sleep and you're going to be miserable. Well, I got another hour and a half. And future Maxim, I don't know whether he's happy about it or not, because he's already moaning on this episode. So it clearly hasn't done much. But we got up, got ready to start this day. And the time is currently 12:15. I've just been to a lovely cafe on Adventure Bay, which has a extremely picturesque beach with pearlescent blue water accompanying it, and it's really lightened my mood because it was pretty dark this morning in more ways than one when I woke up. But we've had our coffee, my first bacon, egg and avocado roll for a long time, and avocado being my first vegetable I've had for a long time. I made the early pursuit to go and see the lighthouse in the morning, which was very nice, but definitely not worth the 25 Australian dollars to take the tour, so I just walked around it and then walked back to my car. And now we are going to take a walk down the Queen Elizabeth Trail. So we'll see how that goes. Because I've kind of overlapped the 2 days, I'm going to end this episode here in Bruny Island and talk about the rest of my experience and what I did next when I get back to Hobart. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode, folks, and have enjoyed listening to my struggle, my pursuits against time and against the outdoors, and my fight against my self-diagnosed dyspraxia. Thanks very much for listening. Goodbye.